Welcome to my channel. This is the Daniel Kraywich channel, and with us we have Bitcoin Jerry. So thanks for joining me on my channel.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Daniel.
And we're going to talk about deceptive narratives, or anything else you think is important that's going on right now.
Sounds good.
So, so I got a bunch of notes, but what I think is the most interesting thing about deceptive narratives is fundamentally, if you have a deceptive narrative, that means you're lying to yourself. So that means you're making bad investment decisions. So you shouldn't have that, and yet it seems like they're everywhere.
What do you mean by deceptive? Like people on Twitter or in general, or?
Oh, I don't know. You said you wanted to talk about deceptive narratives. So what is your definition of a deceptive narrative?
I'm trying to recall. There was a discussion with, like the first thing that comes to my head is the whole BTC SegWit 2x. Was that what we were talking about, or refresh my memory?
Oh, I don't know.
All right.
But yeah, that's a good example. So
yeah. So to me, there's no way. I don't know what your opinion is on the SegWit 2x. Was it not? We give them SegWit and they give us 2x.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah, that's what I think it was.
And then that didn't happen. And I think once the trust is gone, then it's very difficult to trust again. I don't know what I was referring to when I said that deceptive thing.
Oh, that's fine.
Although I loved your guys' you and Vin's show last night. That was very interesting.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Well, I think that Vin may have been trying to tell me that he thinks Craig Wright is a psychopath. Because
yeah.
he kept bringing up this point about how a psychopath can put more effort into creating a facade with a costly signal on it. So, and he's talked to me before about how he's convinced that that Craig Wright is a psychopath.
You know, I hear that a lot. Rick, a lot of people have said that, but I've never seen any evidence to that, other than he's very aggressive. You know, but I am too in a way, so I'm understanding of that. But did he tell you why? Like, what's he going to scam us out of? What's the deal?
Well, Vin says that he's going off his ability to read people, which I mean, I believe that he can read people, but I think that he is mistaken in this case. And actually, it would be like Bitcoin isn't really a very good place for a psychopath. So because so much of the value has to do with ability to cooperate.
Yeah, that's correct. I agree with that. And I would point out one thing. I try to put myself in the other person's shoes. If the whole world was, you know, calling me a scammer like 20 times a day, I'd probably act a little bit, you know, fucked up. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't know how to react to that, you know?
Oh my God, it is crazy. Look, none of them nobody can explain what the scam is. Yeah, and that was a good question earlier, because they all say, like, just look at him. He's clearly a con artist. And
poor guy.
Then you say, what exactly is the con? Like,
yeah, and if it is a con, I want to be on his side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Out of what? And then I don't know. I'm just glad that you have talks, you know, because it's weird that like it seems like a lot of people don't talk like human beings, you know, from the BTC And then the split, I mean, that crushed me. That sucked. You know, a lot of cool people are on different sides. I don't know. Do you think they were being deceptive?
Well, I mean, that's hard for me to say. Like, I just don't really understand where some of these ideas come from. But to me, a fundamental problem is the inability to consider the possibility that you're wrong. And so this is why I can talk to people in other camps like a human being, like what you were just talking about earlier, and that's because I make decisions in a way that where I'm sort of conscious of my own risk. You know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
somebody who is investing based on what they want, rather than their best possible appraisal of the real future, is going to be nervous. See, and if you can't consider being wrong, if that's too difficult for you, then you can't talk easily to people in other camps.
And you can't learn, right? I agree with you. Like, I only learn when I'm wrong, you know, but
right. Exactly.
so I love it when people like, but I'm only wrong for 10 seconds. I have a goal. As soon as I'm wrong, I switch and I'm back to awesomeness again, you know, as fast as possible. Yeah, I don't know what the end goal would be. They're crazy. They're just some of them are crazy. They're nice, but crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that here's what I think there's this belief, and I don't hold it, that you can actually change the market long term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they think. Yeah, they think that manipulating the market works.
For a little time, it can be with all these people with the craziness, but over the long term, it's not. You can't go into that way no matter what, because tides change, people's emotions change, so the fundamentals are a little bit help you sleep at night, I would think.
Yeah, and so they would, yeah. So
he's a scam.
They perceive that Craig Wright is an enemy because he's putting their investment at risk, and I don't know, like
split. Okay, I'm sorry to go down this road. Why did we split? Oh my gosh, because you know that 10 minutes before a split, because they say like Craig Wright, to get rid of Craig Wright, but they understand he has the same amount of Bitcoin 10 minutes before as 10 minutes after, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even like really like eject someone really. Supposedly he has BTC still too, but I guess the rule set. The thing that pisses me off, Daniel, no offense or whatever, can't we just have one coin that stays on the Bitcoin original just for fun? You know what I'm saying? Out of 2,000 coins, can we just have one? And we'll go down with the ship, or I will. You know, I don't care, but just none of this fancy stuff.
Okay,
so I think we.
So okay, so here's what I think. Well, here's a problem that I see, and this has to do with my videos about the Ring of Power and about like Autobots versus Decepticons, because I think that there are some people who will choose to be like the biggest fish in a small pond over being in a bigger pond with bigger fish. And
what do you think about that? I'd rather learn, I think you're right though. They want to be a king of a small pond, maybe.
yeah, and that's sort of how I see Amory's and Roger Vere's psychology. is that they would rather be be in control than negotiate with somebody that they don't like.
Actually, you're totally right, Daniel. You're totally. But when it comes to their job, like they're almost going to be obsolete and lose their power. So they're fighting for that, and they probably set the narrative for all the younglings, you know. And because I asked like 20 times, like, if the miners don't choose, who does? And they just the workaround over and over.
Yeah, well, that's why picking up the Ring of Power turns you into Gollum eventually, because you don't actually become powerful. Like if you understand the consequences of what you're doing, you wouldn't want it. You would just want to be as big as you can in the biggest pond, instead of the biggest fish in a small pond.
That's true. I just want to hear all the cool shit, like the good, like real adult new stuff coming out that's awesome, you know, and all the, you know, just back and forth stuff is dragging on a little long. We used to be all like in one kind of group, you know. Now it's like factions everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's not good for anyone. That kills everyone's value, right?
Yeah. And I think that I mean, I see the market as fundamentally being about learning, because, well, the capital market, because it's always about knowing the future better than other people. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty amazed. Yeah, I mean, I always think of Bitcoin as being like a very complicated game. And so I'm always thinking like, okay, what's the best move now? And then I do something, and it just looks like nobody else is even trying to think ahead.
Yeah.
At least that's how it felt when the core insanity was going on. Now I think that I know lots of people who are thinking ahead.
It drives you crazy, huh?
But eventually, the consequences of poor decisions will be understood by the market. So you just have to be kind of like a Taoist, I think, and that means you have to it's fundamentally about finding the best position rather than exerting control. And
yeah, I agree.
I mean, this is very that's kind of like the Stoic position as well, except Epictetus said that that you didn't have that only your body was real. So you would have to think you have to think that you have control over your bitcoins if you want to be a Bitcoin Stoic.
It's interesting. The very first fork was the first time I ever came on Twitter, and because I was trying to support Roger at the time because he's getting rousted and whatnot. And where was I going to go with that? But when I went on there, I wrote Contrarian, and everybody thought, you know, that meant that I think the Earth is flat, opposite of everything, you know.
Yeah.
So I switched it. It turns out all Twitter's screwed up, man. There's no terms are all messed up. But yeah, I'm used to it. If your odds are better to be, you know, instead of looking for 5 stars, I always look for 1 star. I mean, not in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of a newer thing. And then you'll find something that's out of whack, you know, because so anyways, the point is I'm used to being on the shit end, you know, that nobody else wants.
Yeah.
Because the odds are a little bit better, you know, not a whole lot, but
yeah. I mean, if there's something that people in the capital market just don't like for some reason, if they've learned to avoid it, that actually means that it has a better marginal value than something that they like, because they're using the thing that they like more, and they're using the thing that they don't like less. So yeah, you should look for things that if there's something that people appear to irrationally dislike, that means that it could be a good value. And
yeah, if you can find the reason, like the lawsuit is going to take earnings for over a year, almost 2 years, people just don't want to wait. So it won't be efficient at that point. It'll go actually below book value. You know what I'm saying? You have to wait a little bit longer because they're on the quarterly. But anyway, sometimes it makes sense, you know.
And the Bitcoin market is like an extreme version of that, because the
professionals are not there.
Right.
You know, so in the regular market, you have like 10, 20% of idiots, right? Or whatever the nice term for that is. I think it's like 90%. You know?
Whatever the nice term for that is.
You know, I think it's like
everybody just imagine that Jerry said something nice.
Roses. Taco Bell. Man, but I enjoy. Oh, sorry to get off that. Your show was good. I liked it. It was great. Even what is it called? The Tab.
Oh yeah, no, I was a speaker at TabConf. Did you see that?
Yeah, I got popcorn and everything. It was so good. I like it.
Oh well, thanks.
I love your shit, dude. I know I keep plugging it, but good job.
Okay, well, yeah, well, I really like your stuff. So if people haven't seen your videos, you post all kinds of really strange and sometimes funny videos on Twitter. So I would say about half of your videos, I can't really understand what you're talking about. But when I can understand what you're saying, I usually think it is very sensible.
Well, I'm just getting started, so I'll learn more.
So my favorite of your videos is this one where you had this dog called the mayor of BSV, and he talks about how capitalism is for the customer, and in the background these stormtroopers appear at one point, and they're on a sign that says "Join us or die," and I thought that was great because there was a double message, and you might not even notice it if you were just not paying enough attention, but to me that makes a lot of sense, because it's not like you're threatening people. You're really just saying, like, if you don't join us, then you will just naturally go to zero.
I love my stuff. I'm such a fan of myself. It's just weird, you know. I crack up at that. I had that music, like "We Are the World" or something on there.
Yeah. Oh, and my other favorite one was the one where you were talking about how to open your garage door using Bitcoin.
Oh, don't erase that one. I'm trying to get, because some of this technical stuff is way above me. So I'm trying to like start the conversation and see what's supposed to happen is I put that out and people go, dude, you're a dumbass. It goes like this, and then you just take notes as they tell you, you know, the answer. But
well, I mean, I think that you kind of are somebody who seems to understand Bitcoin pretty naturally, even if you're not very technical. Because to me, the value of Bitcoin is it's about what people are doing with it, like what is being constructed for it, and that you don't. That's not inherently technical. That's more like a sociology or economics or anthropology.
I think so too. And I like to see. I guess you can't say community. I don't even know the rules. We're not, but the community. I like to see the community building for the future. And right now, it's just crazy. I couldn't be happier. I mean, do you know what this bottle is? It looks like a search engine the underwriter put out. Unwriter, how do you say it?
No, I can't even keep track with of everything that Unwriter does.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. That's good. Just because I can't keep up, it doesn't mean that's the way it should be. You know, keep it rolling.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is really the advantage of having a solution to the Byzantine generals problem, is that new information can be generated from anywhere. So that's just how it should be. It should be that there's far more information than you can actually process being generated by the economy.
Absolutely. Do you think there's some of these bigger projects? Do you see this just as 1,000 just individuals working on stuff? Is there ever a time when they need to build something a little bit bigger? What am I saying?
Yeah, well, I think that because miners earn income out of the whole system,
Yeah.
they have incentives to preserve the whole system. So
Oh yeah.
So once transaction fees start to become important, then it becomes a part of the miner's business model to support the whole system, and because that's where their income is coming from. So yeah, I think that we'll see organization on large and small scales, and there isn't any there isn't any limit to how big things can get, but it's still true, like that, you know, every different agents, you know, that are all operating independently will be able to coordinate and add value simultaneously.
Through competition, which is that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, this is always something that I really I really struggle with when I'm talking to people from BTC or whatever, because none of them understand this idea, and they will only talk about whether Craig Wright is Satoshi, and like nothing will induce them to consider the idea that the value of Bitcoin comes from the way that people interact, at which they will never be able to think about, as long as they can only think about Craig Wright and whether he's Satoshi.
Yeah. If you think about it, they bring it up every time. Like, I haven't heard like Craig himself bring it up ever. He gets harassed with it. And it really, it was easier for me to talk to people from the point of view of fake Satoshi, because then they're really in trouble. Because I point out our fake Satoshi is smarter than anybody in your whole group, as far as having business, miners, patents, Bitcoin. Why can't you beat our fake Satoshi?
All of that material was simply constructed to run his pump and dump scheme.
Okay, what's the exit like? Yeah, pump and dump. Everything's a pump and dump.
Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. It's absurd to think that somebody could it's not the simpler theory to imagine that he's simply here because it makes more sense to make Bitcoin more valuable.
This is that guy's pet project. I'll tell you right now. He is pot committed to that. He's married to it, regardless of who he is. I can tell you right now. He's been consistent since day one. You know, it's not like one of those people that go 2 megabyte, 5 megabyte. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
consistency is very hard to fake. You know what I'm saying? He's been very consistent. So I don't even care. He's brought more to our community than I think any other player on other communities in the whole space. I think.
You know? He's way beyond everybody. So yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to be the biggest fish in a small pond doesn't like him.
Yeah, that's right. Did you hear when? I mean, this is old stuff. I just want to know if you confirm that a while back, Vitalik said he's not qualified to be here at a conference.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah,
Well, what are the qualifications?
yeah, that's a good question.
It doesn't like
Because
10 degrees, you know. I don't know how many Vitalik has,
yeah,
but I
Bitcoin is
wouldn't be
kind of a
able to
new
qualify.
thing. Well, I would say that there aren't any qualifications
Right.
because Bitcoin is a new thing. So it's kind of like, I mean, you know something about it. That's
He's definitely qualified. That's all I know. You know,
yeah,
to go to a conference or
yeah.
speak. So, what's the coolest part that you want to see happen next?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm just I guess I'm focusing on my next video, so I'm not really thinking about what else I want to see next. I want to see my next video next.
I want to see your next video too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I see a future. I mean, not today, not tomorrow, where Skype works perfect. Wouldn't that be awesome?
yeah.
Because when I see videos, ours is working good right now, but it'll happen someday. There'll be a good Google Hangouts or Skype. That's the only thing.
Okay, well, let me just go through my notes to see if I got everything on false or deceptive narratives. Oh yeah, so if you have a deceptive narrative, that means you're lowering your own net worth. So you should make sure that you don't have those. But many people in Bitcoin act to systematically protect their deceptive narratives instead of.
What is the game like? I didn't understand the first part. Like, why are they doing this? Is it because they're psychopath? Or what's the prize?
I can't tell. It doesn't make any sense.
All right.
It's honestly, I don't understand why anyone would prefer to do anything to I mean, what, like, making Bitcoin more valuable is much better than trying to destroy it. And it's just crazy. I can't I can't explain it. Yeah, but the people in BTC seem like they're clearly doing things that are self-destructive, but nothing will get them to understand what it is.
I think you're right with the whole cult thing.
Yeah,
like you can't ask a real question because they can't do it. It's like deer in the headlights. I would love to hear it. Like I think that people a little bit towards the top, they, you know, like Tony Vance and Jimmy Song. I don't know if they're sincere or not. It doesn't seem like it. I think is that wrong to say that?
Well, I mean, I knew Jimmy Song before he became famous, and then he was just normal. So, you know, I don't really know what happened to him, but I mean, I think that he I think that he just misunderstood what's valuable about Bitcoin, and he allowed himself to protect his earlier choices from the belief that they are wrong, than instead of questioning his earlier decisions. So I think that he radicalized himself by doing that. And I don't know about the other person you mentioned.
Yeah, who cares then? What's the best argument you've heard for keeping it at 1. I mean, I don't talk to him quite as much as you. Have you heard any like you go, oh, that's a reasonable way of doing it?
Well, no, I mean, I don't think so. They always talk about miner centralization, and I wrote an article called like "The Terror of Mining Centralization," and it had the Nosferatu on it. And this was in like 2014, but it was in kind of an obscure source because I thought that this idea about miner centralization at the time was so dumb that it didn't really, like, I thought of it as just like a throwaway article, and so not too many people saw it, but uh,
What it said?
they're just they're just afraid of the miners being in control, and they, I mean, like it doesn't, like, limiting the bandwidth doesn't make any sense, because like you can't, like, it destroys the ability to profit seek, and the blockchain is the only thing that solves the Byzantine generals problem. So if you add extra stuff on top of it, you don't do anything to help solve the Byzantine generals problem.
You unsolve it when you add the middleman back in. What are they?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's insane. It's just insane. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
even if they're crazy, they could go to 2 and buy themselves some time and not lose all the market share or half.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that would be irresponsible. Yeah. There's no way that the Lightning Network can prevent people from bumping into one another, because that's what the solution to the Byzantine generals problem does. It allows people to act independently, and you can't, like, you can't build on top of it and make a better solution to the Byzantine generals problem. You just the blockchain is the part that solves the Byzantine generals problem. That's it.
And from a practical point of view too, it also gets rid of all the regulation.
Yeah.
I know people don't care, it's decentralized, but when you handle other people's money, that's when all the headache comes in, right?
I saw this really creepy video from Antonopoulos that I think was from 2017, where he was talking about how great the Lightning Network worked. And I should just find the link, but he looked really like creeped out. And when there was a part where he got to start talking about legal issues, and he said the Lightning he said I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if you are legally a money transmitter if you have a Lightning node. And then he said, but I don't think that the government could find all of the Lightning nodes and shut them down, and they probably won't care because most people won't be transmitting very much money. And when I heard that, I was like, "This is crazy."
This is crazy.
I don't. He was like, "Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know." And then he said all of that other stuff about it. What?
But the point is, you don't have to. Like with the decentralization, I was all like, when there's 2,000 coins, I'm less worried about it being shut down, But when it was just Bitcoin, then I don't even know that. Lightning's. I don't think all these home nodes are gonna do anything. Do you? It's not even gonna work. It's just junk. I'm so glad.
I mean, there's no. I don't think it's crazy. There's no way that the Lightning Network can ever be it can be used on a mass scale, and
no,
just going to be there's just going to be something like a bank rush when people start to realize en masse that it doesn't work. They're going to all try to get their money out at the same time, and they won't be able to.
That is a possibility. What I think is, it's all perfectly made that the banks are going to be the Lightning nodes.
Yeah.
They're going to be funded. They're going to be on 24 hours a day. Like they're going to have the money transmitter license. It's just like, oh, look, I guess it is illegal. I guess you'll just have to use us. Who knew, you know? And we're right back where we started.
Well, yeah, but they're still not solving the Byzantine generals problem. So
hell no. It looks like a big abacus, big mesh network, as far as I can see. So basically, you kind of, it's convoluted, and we have such an easy. Anyways, I'm sorry to go off on that, but I like to talk to a rational person once in a while that might, because my side, I always think I'm right, but there's usually a good argument on the opposite side. I like to know what their best points are. I just don't know what it is in this case.
Well, I'm biased because I think that they're idiots.
I'm biased too.
I mean, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I talk to BTC trolls on Twitter a lot, and as far as I'm concerned, they've got nothing.
Dude, yeah, Blockstream. These companies are so it's so crazy. Oh, no, that's
to me, they're like people. They're like the ants that have been infected by the mind control fungus, because they've been programmed to behave in a way that reduces the value of their own investment, and there's like an infinite number of layers of self-deception that prevent them from viewing, from like stepping back and seeing the connection between their behavior and the value of Bitcoin. So it's like a mind control fungus.
It really is. One of my favorite guys, Charlie Munger, has this big thing on the 24 deceptive behaviors that people do themselves, and it's really fascinating. But you can see a lot of those happening, and they're reinforcing when they say it out loud. And I don't know, they sound like children to me a little bit. Oh well.
Yeah, that's usually how I. Yeah, so I think of people who have been deceived as being kind of like wild children who have been raised by wolves. That's kind of how I talk to them, and so that works really well because it just doesn't matter what they say. You just act like you just remember that they've been raised by wolves and that you don't have time for them, and then it's fine. But if they start to act like they want to be more civilized, then I give them more attention, and I talk to them a little bit more. So then they can be brought into civilization.
Yeah, that is good. I have one rule: if they're sincere, you can't go wrong with me, you know. But
well, how do you tell who's sincere?
Well, if I go, well, what about the block size? And they go, you're a nerd, you know.
Oh yeah, well,
or Craig Wright is the Satan or something, you know. I'm like, okay. Or that is just like, not that's insincere. That's just, they're not trying to have discussion, you know. Because I really want a discussion. I want a discussion opposing me, you know. And so I don't know if it's just, I just learn more that way, it seems like. But if they're not sincere and they're making up shit, you know, like when someone changes the narrative, like right in front of your face, and then you bring it back, and then you could tell, Daniel.
Yeah, okay. No, I see what you mean. Yeah, and yeah, I agree. You need to it's important to be able to understand your opponent's ideas as well as you can. And if you don't, you aren't really able to, like, it's just bad for yourself if you aren't able to do that, because you just end up getting yeah.
You know, and they might have some facts that I overlooked. You know, that happens. But that's a good point. I would.
So let's see. So, yeah, false narratives are self-defeating.
Can I say one thing from yesterday? It was kind of scary with that psychopath thing.
Yeah.
I think it's better just not to even know, because what am I supposed to do? Go around and just like know in the back of my mind that person could be a psychopath? You know, like you'd say like 3%. You know, a little bit freaky. You know. Anyways, I think it's better. You know, if I get burned once in a while, hopefully it's not for, you know, a lot or whatever. Do you think there's that many crazies out there?
Well, I mean, well, I think most people are fine, but I mean,
they're stupid. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean like we're talking. You guys were talking about like a whole next level of psycho, right? People pretending.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well.
I thought that was in the movies. Is that like real life too?
Well,
I've never met one.
Well, you probably have. I mean, but
that's true. That's a good point.
you probably haven't met one who has been, you know, who has been had a close relationship to you, because you probably know if that had happened.
That's true, and you guys were right. When you're one-on-one, you could pretty much tell. You know, I would hope. You know, I guess you can't say that if I don't really know. But anyways, that was pretty freaky. I'm gonna pretend like
yeah, but I mean, but I really don't think that Bitcoin is a very good place for psychopaths anyway.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, what?
A sneak peek? Go ahead. What's your next video going to be on?
Well, you actually saw the an earlier version of it, and you said it was really funny. So
yeah,
don't tell anybody.
I'm not. I won't. But
it's almost done now. So hopefully it'll be out soon. But I'll say that no, I won't say anything about it. It's really good though.
I won't either. It's really good. I think they all are though.
Well, anyway, it was great talking to you. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, it was great talking to you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it was fun talking to you. Yeah.